Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sport on YouTube. And of course, this is it. It's the week of Euro 2020, and thank goodness it's coming. We've been waiting 5 years for the Euros, not the 4, 5 years. And I'm absolutely relieved that I can wear my free lines again and go to the beer garden, get smashed, but hopefully win the game as well. We never really win against Croatia. That's who we play first. I'm delighted to be joined by Rhian Cleverly, who is actually the captain of Lewes FC in the Championship in the Women's League in England. So it's my absolute pleasure to have Rhian with me. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thanks for having me. My pleasure to join you.
Now, how's it been for you? Because it's been a bit quiet for the last few weeks since the season finished.
Yeah, it's actually come at a really good time, I guess, as COVID and lockdown restrictions have opened up. Our season has come to an end, so it's quite nice getting back into normality again and not having that training routine. It's quite nice to see family and friends and make most of the time, and the weather, of course.
Yeah, the weather's been good, hasn't it? Last few weeks, it's been absolutely splendid. How excited are you for Euros then? Because actually, Rhian, we just found out just before we went recording this that you're actually from Wales, and I kept thinking you're from England.
I don't know how you couldn't tell. The accent's a bit of a giveaway, but yeah, I was going to mention it, but yeah, as I said, like I am 100% Welsh and proud. But if my hands are tied behind my back, I will reluctantly support England. So I'm happy to chat football, any country. Today with you.
So of course, with the Euros finally here, it's been a long wait for it. England, in a way, for a lot of the England fans, especially myself, we look at this tournament as probably a home tournament because our first three group games, well, I say first three, our only group games are at Wembley Stadium, and the semis and the final will be at Wembley. So if England can get to the semis, then they've got a home stretch. Big if, yeah. It really is a big if, because the last time England played Croatia was in a World Cup semi-final, which was absolute heartbreak. So really, for Gareth Southgate, this is the perfect way to start the campaign, to get a win and to get revenge on Croatia.
Yeah. As you said, I think it's all set up for like a really good tournament for you guys. I don't want to put any pressure on, so hopefully you do live up.
I'm already feeling it on my shoulders.
Hopefully you do live up to those expectations. But yeah, I think they've got a good squad. It's exciting. I think it's a good time. Everyone kind of needs something to celebrate. So it'll be really good, even as a Welsh fan, to see them do well. But hopefully, yeah. I don't know how it would work out, but maybe a Wales-England final. I don't know if it would work out, but
I mean, can you imagine? Well, to be honest, when it came to the Rugby World Cup, I was hoping in 2019 when Wales got there and England got to the semis as well, I thought they've got to have a Wales-England final because that would have been the biggest sporting event between the two countries ever, probably.
Yeah.
But sadly, we didn't see that this time. Who knows? Because your team, Wales, got to the semi-finals at the Euros last time. We'll talk more about that in another video. But as a Welsh fan, how do you view England when it comes to Welsh fans talking football? Because as you'd expect, the media, the fans expect so much from England, and they've proved in the last few tournaments they can't do it under that pressure, despite the players we have who are so good in the Premier League, for example.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? Like you technically and physically, there's no denying that they're good players, and they show even in the psychological side that they're good enough to compete at that level and win and be successful at club level. But yeah, it's a different sort of pressure and expectation, as you said. I do think that's why in the past maybe Welsh supporters would support England, but now maybe Wales are starting to progress as a nation, and yeah, maybe we are a football nation now that we can say that with a bit more confidence after the last Euros. I think now there might be that rivalry a little bit more. So yeah, whether Welsh fans will start having that, I guess, rivalry that there is in the rugby. But yeah, it's nice to see. I think a lot of us Welsh people obviously support English clubs, so we want the players that we support on a weekly basis to be doing well at the country level too, and just any excuse to have a beer and celebrate. I think so. Yeah, I hope they do well, and I think it's all set up for a good tournament, as you said.
With your off season, you better not have too much beer, as the manager will find out.
No, I'll be running just as much as drinking, so I'll be ready for the season. But yeah, it's just as important, I think, that's something that maybe Gareth Southgate is starting to introduce. Like, I'm really big on the sports psychology. That's my passion outside of football, and I think he does a lot with making sure. I'm not saying that the England players are drinking beers and stuff, but I think just making sure that they enjoy it and it is more of a relaxed atmosphere, because it is a long tournament, and it's the same for us girls. Like, you need to be able to switch off, whether that's having either a very occasional pint or just being with friends and family. I think it's really important to be able to perform at your best. Yeah.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I mean, to enjoy it as well. I think that's where a lot of people can work so hard towards soccer, and they forget that they're doing it because it's their love for it as well. And I completely agree with you. There's definitely that work-life balance, and also enjoying the things like being at the Euros and representing your country. And I'm sure Gareth Southgate and other managers at this tournament will say, go out there and enjoy it.
Yeah, hopefully, and I think that's something that is becoming a lot more normal in football. And I think a lot of the times we view these people as superheroes, but at the end of the day, they are just humans. They've made mistakes in the past, and I'm sure mistakes are inevitable in the game. But yeah, it's just enjoying that process. I think it's very cliche, but I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, it's a lot easier when you're lifting the trophy. But I'm
absolutely.
Sure yeah.
The only thing that's missing is the capes itself. So anyway, let's go straight down to it with England versus Croatia. It's this Sunday at 2:00 local time, which is England time, at Wembley Stadium. There'll be some fans there. I can't remember how many will be there, but it's at least 10,000, just depending on the COVID restrictions. But I guess really, Rhian, England should use this as an advantage. They're playing at Wembley for a lot of their games, so it's in a way it's kind of like Euro '96 again. The Euros being in England.
Yeah. Again, it's that psychological side. Is it an advantage? Is it extra pressure? Players can do it both ways. I think maybe having the limited fans in there will ease that. So there's less expectation in the stadium. But again, that atmosphere. I think it's been weird the whole of COVID, like not having fans. Maybe it's just completely different. I guess different players might have different perspectives on it. I know personally, I love having the fans in there. It gets me more excited for a game, and I'm sure a lot of the players will be saying the same. But yeah, just to have any fans in there and a bit more normality, I think it'll make a difference. And hopefully they can use that to their advantage, and England can get off to a good start.
How have you found it as a player?
It's been weird because actually this season's, I don't know if you know, but it's been one of our most successful seasons. So we've actually won a few games. So it would have been nice to have fans there in the stadium to celebrate with us. There probably would have been some mad celebrations. I know it's supposed to be away from the fans, but it's hard once you score a goal and you're trying to be socially distanced. All kind of rules sometimes go out the window. But yeah, I think one thing that Lewes has done really well, and maybe other teams, is just the live streams, and that side of the game has really progressed for us in women's football because they've had to, because we haven't had those fans. So
yeah,
I think that's one thing that hopefully we can keep doing when fans are allowed back into the stadiums. I know my mum and dad in Wales have loved it, just sitting on the sofa, being able to watch all our games and stuff. So yeah, hopefully that continues, and there are some positives out of a bit of a rubbish season for fans.
And save some money on petrol.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure deep down they wanted to be there.
We'll see next season as well.
They'll be asking, do you have an online pass again?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Of course, looking at Croatia, though, I mean, there's something about Croatia where this is where Southgate's got to get it going, hasn't he? Because Scotland's the second game, and it doesn't matter, I don't think, where that game's going to be, because there will be Scotland fans in that stadium somehow, and it's a big rivalry. So for Southgate, the pressure's on him, I think, straight away to have his first game against Croatia.
Yeah, you haven't got an easy group looking at it.
No.
I think, like the weaker team is supposed to be Scotland, but yeah, with that rivalry, I think it just makes it 10 times harder. So yeah, I think to start off well, obviously does help. I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't get off to a winning start. But obviously it does make it a lot more harder for the players, for the fans, and it just straight away puts that extra bit of pressure on when there already is loads anyway. So yeah, I'd like to see them start off well, and I think they will. I think even just having the last semi-final in the back of their minds gives that disappointment to determination, I hope. And it's hard to beat a team twice, and I don't think Croatia are the same team that they were then. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be roles reversed.
I do feel, because Luka Modric is now 35. He's been their leader, the poster boy of Croatia football for the last 15 years, I'd say. I even remember him as far back as Euro 2008. So he's had a lot of tournaments and so much experience under his belt. But I'm looking at the team now. You've got the likes of Perisic and Petkovic up front, who have been getting goals for Croatia. But I don't know about you, but it really surprised me how far they got in that last World Cup. The fact that they got to the final was quite incredible.
Yeah, that's the thing though. There's always seems to be a team like that, doesn't there? Like when there's no expectations and the team just clicks and you get on a run like that, it's really hard just to stop them when they've got a bit of momentum. So that's the thing. I don't think you can ever rule anyone out. And watch Modric score a goal in the first minute on Sunday, and I think we'll all be saying that it doesn't matter if he's 35, he's still got it. So yeah, I think it's just going in there with an open mind. Hopefully the players have that excitement rather than being anxious. And yeah, if you look at the teams on paper, then it's an England win. But as we know, football's not as simple as that at times.
No, actually, the most recent game they actually had was in the Nations League at Wembley, which was just months after the semi-final at that World Cup, and England beat them in that Nations League game. And as you'd expect, a lot of England fans and players looked at that as revenge. For me, though, I was sadly just remembering the night at the pub, wanted to drown my sorrows, to tell you the truth. That was the bigger game, more important game in my eyes out of the two teams. But I guess when you look at England, though, how have you seen it? Like when you look at the squad, because there's been all sorts of confusion. 4 right backs, Jordan Henderson getting in when he's been injured, and then of course Harry Maguire's still in there despite the recent injury. It looks all a bit unsure and indecisive from Gareth Southgate. How have you seen it?
Yeah, I think with someone like Henderson, I think I've been listening to a podcast, High Performance Podcast, and Gareth Southgate's been on there recently, and it's really good. And you obviously learn a little bit more, because just reading news articles and stuff, you don't learn about everything that's going on in the squad. And I think obviously we know Henderson, he's got a lot of experience, and I think even if he doesn't play certain games or he's injured, then I think he's not at his full fitness. I think you've still got to have him in there just for that experience. And it sounds like him and Kane just set the standard and just make sure it's a positive team environment, because there's obviously a lot of youngsters going that have a lot of potential but maybe need that bit of guidance. So I think just having them in that squad just makes the whole difference. And I think that's one thing that maybe Southgate's thinking about. You've got to have that balance. I think with it, Ben White, who just got called up, so maybe you're looking at it like, you need to make sure there's a balance in different positions. As you said, you've got that. Is it a good problem where you've got 4 fullbacks, and then the next thing you know, Trent's out? So it's like, one day it's a problem, the next day the problem solved, and then you don't want players to miss out on injuries and stuff like that. But as you said, it's not always the best 11 players. It's how they fit well, and then not just the 11 team, but keeping that squad happy, because that's what's going to matter in the final stages. If you can get there, it's just making everyone have a role in that team and everyone feel valued and pushing each other the whole tournament.
I guess as well, the one big surprise for me was not seeing Jesse Lingard make it. I mean, I know he got into the 34-man squad or whatever it was for the friendlies, but at the end of it all, he won't be at the Euros. Do you think that might come and haunt England a little bit? Because even in those friendlies, he was probably our best player.
Yes, actually, football's a game of opinions, isn't it? And I think, as you said, I think he's been class, especially like since West Ham has gone to, and just really, really playing well. And I'm sure he's gutted. I think I saw a tweet today, and he's obviously supporting the boys and being a good team player from home. And you never know, could end up getting called back up. So he's got to be a good teammate. But it must be gutting to miss out. They've obviously been training hard and working towards this as a goal for them as players individually. But then I think once it comes down to it, it's just they've got to trust in the players that they've selected, and the coaches, they see it more. They probably watch and scrutinise. If they're anything like the Lewes coaches, they're scrutinising every training, they're scrutinising every game, and it's like the personality fit too. So hopefully they've picked the right fit and they can do well. But it's good that we've got so many options, I guess. It's a good problem.
I'll tell you what, I'd love to get your insight, because I mean, tournaments must be so different to leagues, because obviously with leagues, you're most likely back at home during the week training. and then you either go to your ground on the weekend or you go to their ground on the
Yeah.
weekend. What what's I mean, I don't know if you've been. I presume you have played in tournaments where it's a few weeks somewhere, and then you obviously are in a training camp throughout as well. What is it enjoyable? Is it quite weird? Do you miss being home? How does it? Have you seen it as a player?
Yeah, I'm going back a bit of a time now. I was involved with Wales growing up, and
Mm,
I have one senior cap for Wales. So I was present on quite a lot of the camps, and they can be long. They can be 3-4 days, and sometimes they're abroad and they're 2 weeks, sometimes longer. Obviously, the Euros, things like that. So it is hard, and I think it is really, really important to make sure that that team environment and there's a situation and atmosphere where players can switch off, because
mm.
otherwise you're thinking it's 3-4 weeks and you can't be football. You can't. There's no way that you can be that concentrated and that focused and be able to like perform at your best if you're like that all the time. You've got to be able to sleep well. You've got to be able to relax with family. I think the COVID restrictions might make it hard in terms of. I've
Yeah,
seen a bit on the news where they can't see their family maybe throughout the tournament as much.
yeah, that'll
Um,
be hard.
so that it poses even more challenges, and it's just weird to think that like a team might be successful based on little details like that. So England might get to the final because their ability to switch off and relax and enjoy the atmosphere and get on as teammates is better than Croatia or better than Wales or better than France. Like it's mad, but I think people are starting to realise the importance of that, and yeah, hopefully they can get that balance right between working hard and enjoying themselves, and it can be a success.
And finally, I tell you what, we've got to share our predictions. Who do you think's going to win this game? Do you have a scoreline prediction in mind between England and Croatia?
I'm a bit worried without Maguire. I'm a little bit. I do think I can see some lack of confidence and some gaps in that England defence. So I don't think there's
Yeah,
going to. I don't think there's going to be a clean sheet. But I do think England are dangerous going forward. They've got pace. They've got confidence. I think there's a lot of players who've done well for the club. So yeah, I think 3-1 England is my prediction. Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-0.
You're not.
I tell you what, if our defence gets a clean sheet, then it's a good start.
Yeah.
But I think it's just our forward line. If they can connect, if it was me, I would start with Kane, Foden, and Grealish.
Yeah.
But of course, Sancho has a fair shout. So does Rashford, especially Sancho at Dortmund this season. But there's something about Grealish where I just love the way he pushes the ball and dribbles with it. And there's not many players like him out there. I think the only concern I have for him is because he puts so much effort in, he sometimes gets quite tired or gets himself injured because of it, as we've seen this
Yeah.
season for him at Villa.
But I do think he's a different role. Like at Villa, I think he's had that been carrying that team quite a lot, and he has
Mm,
to do that at times. Whereas I do think with England, he's surrounded by players. I think there was glimpses of it in the warm up game the other day, just combining with Sancho. So I think he needs to maybe like learn, and he doesn't have to be that individual, that special player all the time. And obviously he's got it in him, but yeah, playing off other players. And I think it might take some time. So hopefully the England fans are not going to put too much expectation there, and hoping for like a 5-6-0 victory on Sunday. But yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting tournament, and I think the more they play together, those players, the better it could be. It's going to be exciting.